Hello, beautiful Aquarians. I'm Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your February 2021 horoscope. And I know you are probably working through quite a bit of things right now, especially as Saturn and Jupiter are applying to your sun, depending on which degree of Aquarius you are. So if this is your sun, rising, or moon sign, then this will allow you to have some information on how the planets may be affecting you. Of course, you have probably been feeling some of the, we'll say, pressures or influence, and maybe there's a lightness, especially with Jupiter involved, that is energizing you a little bit. But let's start talking about the personal planets. We're going to start with Mars as it's moving through Taurus. It's been there since January 6th of this year, and it's moving through your fourth house of home, of family, of um, looking at your roots and the ancestral realm, if you will. And you think about it, the fourth house is where you coagulate or culminate all the energy that you have experienced and learned from the first, second, and third house. So here you are really putting some roots down. And with Mars there, it's driving you most likely to look at what's important when it comes to family. So whether it's family of origin or family of choice, all of this can apply to you. And you've already started the process, and you've probably put some methodical planning in place about what is it that feels really good for you. And granted, when I say feel good, that's really pointing to the moon. But with Mars there, that's sort of your drive, your sexual energy, your passion. And so that also adds more assertiveness and fuel to a fire inside of you to be driven on what allows you to feel at home, or and also a sense of belonging as well, and probably putting some plans in place. As a practical note, you're most likely looking at in where I'm physically living, because Taurus deals with our possessions, it deals with our bodies, our physicalness. It's the bull, and it wants to, it's an earth sign. So it's very earthy in the sense that it wants to take its time. It wants to be natural. Maybe you're looking at adding more naturalness to where you call home. Now, this can also be your environment, if you will. So it could be maybe you're still able to go to an office, or you're working from home, like most people are right now in a pandemic, and you're wanting to put some sort of beautification. And so maybe you're changing some things, planning to do a renovation. Maybe you're dealing still with some renovations. And this could be a good month to kind of wrap it up, as Taurus, or excuse me, Mars will finish in Taurus at the end of the month. And so you can see some really forward motion that way. It may also, this in the month of February, lead you to feeling more at home where you're at, and you're just driven to bring that point to yourself, to others. And this can also mean that you may be drudging up some things of the past from your family that you want to heal, that you want to tackle, and you want to work through. And it just takes time to work through it all. Some of you may be dealing with family members as well, aging parents or aging family, illnesses, that sort of thing, that you are having to be more of the caregiver or the organizer for the family members. All of that could apply. Now, let's also talk about Mercury, because Mercury, our trickster little planet, but our messenger planet, is moving through your first house, and it did station in retrograde right at the end of January. And so, if Mercury is retrograding through your first house, which it will be, and is through the month of February, and Venus is also moving through your first house, and Jupiter and Saturn, and of course the sun, because this is your birthday month, lots of stuff going on, right? So, if Mercury is retrograding through your first house, you want to take your time to really consider new beginnings that may be on the horizon for you. You may encounter some unexpected delays when you're trying to get really important plans in place. So, please ground, don't panic. It's all going to be just fine. This is an opportunity to review those plans when they come up, especially as I mentioned with Mars moving through Taurus in that fourth house, maybe plans associated with your home or with the people that you associate as family, right? And so your expectations are what may need to be readjusted because we're working with Mercury retrograde, so RE. Now, there may be something that you overlooked that needs to be addressed, some little details, things like that. And you just need to stop pushing. It's only for a couple weeks. And so, if you're able to just relax into it, that's another RE, right? If you're able to relax into the first couple weeks of February, you'll be recharging and you'll be able to kind of push out of the gate, so to speak, by the 1st of March. But until then, use this time to make really slow and methodical progress by revisiting the plans, relaxing into the process, and also remember when Mercury's retrograde, misunderstandings, miscommunications. Mercury is retrograding through Aquarius, of course, as I mentioned. And so you Aquarians love to be innovative, using technology, using science, thinking out of the box. And with Mercury retrograde, it's possible that there's some miscommunications. You're very clear about what you want to do, but others, not so much. So be careful not to make assumptions. Don't jump to conclusions and create a strong opinion like you like to do and get really fixed on it because relationships could get damaged. Now, let's talk about relationships here because we have Venus, like I say, moving through your sign as well. And she'll be canoodling with Jupiter, which expands whatever she touches. So if there's a misunderstanding in a relationship and you've got Jupiter involved, it could really make it blown out of proportion and create harsh feelings or frustrations. And then, of course, that tension comes in because we do have that squaring off that will be happening with planets in Taurus and Scorpio. So when the moon is moving through Scorpio, Mars in Taurus, we've come off that square. So all of those things can create these tension points that you don't necessarily want to damage the important relationships in your life. Now, as Venus and Jupiter are canoodling this month, moving through that first house, it'll activate more of that. I need freedom. I want to be at the free spirit in my relationships. And that can be really great, especially if you are working through. Uh, if you're bonded or you have some significant friendships in your life that you have felt a little suffocated or a little bound up with, this can give you an opportunity to revisit that conversation and be able to say, look, this is what I need in order to be really authentic in my relationship with you as well as with myself. And so, what I really need is I need to have a little bit more freedom. And I believe that the person you're interacting with is going to get it. You may have to revisit that conversation a couple of times before they finally go, okay. But if you can reassure them that you're not abandoning them, you just need to be able to have some other free expression. I sense that they will embrace you. And also, because Venus and Jupiter are benefic planets, they could be activating this more attractive quality in you. So, single or coupled, but mostly single, if you're looking to attract somebody towards you, then you will most likely be able to do it through the power of seduction. And yes, that does have a negative connotation at times. However, seduction is very feminine. It's very what's the word, soft and gentle. And I sense that if you're willing to use that seductive quality, you can attract opportunities, not just romance. You can attract maybe some financial aspects when you sit down and talk to a lender, or you sit down and you're negotiating with someone about what it is you ultimately want. If you can stay open and gentle, then you may be able to actually win the other person to your side. Those of you who are familiar with a BATNA, that is your bottom line, what you're willing to negotiate. And, when you're buying a car, it's like, this is my bottom line price. I'm willing to walk away from it if it doesn't work. So, those of you who are working on negotiations this month, especially if you're dealing with finances, job promotion that comes with better pay, or maybe you've been doing the job and you want better pay. This is a great time to take your time in going through the process of saying, this is why I deserve it. Here are the benefits, because we're working with Jupiter and Venus. They'll be blessing you and charming you, that you can say, here's the reasons why I deserve it. And how does it benefit you as much as it benefits me? And so keeping that at the forefront of your mind is going to help you attract more of what you want. Now, also to doubly energize it, we have the new moon in your sign on February 11th, also bringing out the best version of yourself, more beautiful qualities. So look for new ways that you can bring in more sweetness, as I mentioned, seduction, right? The opportunity to be able to work through your projects, your relationships, your finances, all of that thing, so that you can really manifest what it is you would like and how it benefits not just yourself, but others, of course. Now, let's talk about the end of the month when the sun moves into Pisces on the 18th. It'll be in your second house. This is another reason why I'm emphasizing the financial world, or the possessive part. And I say possessive, meaning the physical possessions that you own, your values. That's all very second house, your income. You're going to be looking for material and financial security, and probably finding a sense of purpose and meaning in the way in which you gather your resources. And that way, you will feel supported and your work has meaning to it, which I think is something that you're also going to um, really need. With the sun in Pisces, it's got this great compassionate energy. It's very imaginative, which complements you very much because you have these beautiful ideals. And now you've got Pisces energy coming in and painting this beautiful picture, this very artful way of doing it that can add blessings to that art of seduction that I was talking about before. That you can actually, when you're communicating to others, you can paint it in this beautiful light, and they go, ooh, that looks beautiful or amazing, right? And then you also have the full moon in Virgo at the end of the month, February 27th, 28th, depending on where you're at. And it's going to be in your second and eighth house. And so you're going to have the sun in the second house and the moon in the eighth house. And this is going to offer to you that you get to reset some boundaries where you may have felt like you were being taken advantage of, or that you were sacrificing too much in your relationships or in your um, negotiations, or sharing resources, whether we're talking about with a physical partner, or maybe you're looking at a business side of things of how you've been doing your resources that way. And it's like, no, we need to reset these boundaries, or we need to go deeper. We need to find out exactly why we want what we want and why we want to set it up this way. And having integrity in your relationships, having integrity in the way in which you earn income is probably going to be number one on your list. And so, at the end of the month, if you are evaluating where you've been at in your streams of income and things like that, what you're going to look at is, does this line up with my integrity and the way in which I want to be authentic in the world? And if not, it's time to weed out or separate the, as they say, the wheat from the chaff, because the moon is in Virgo and she is all about, that sign is all about discrimination. And so, yes, the shadow side is criticalness. So you could get a little careful on this, but a little critical about everything seems to be wrong. Nobody's doing it right. Nobody's doing it my way, and I don't like it. And then you start alienating others. So just be careful that you don't do that, because then you could find yourself sort of the lone wolf, which I realize, Aquarians, you don't mind being a lone wolf. But when you're trying to deal with equality and humanity the way that you like to do, you need others. So, most likely, this full moon will have you looking at your resources and saying, does this resource, and that includes the people in your life, the quality of relationships in your life, do they support and line up with where I see myself going in the future? It's very future oriented for you. And if not, then you'll start separating what's useful, what's not useful. especially when it comes to, like I say, your resources. It's most likely that you may be looking at some family dynamics as well. And the reason I bring that in is I sense some Aquarians will be looking at resources through the lens of maybe an inheritance or the way in which your parents or those who a benefactor, that sort of thing, may be wanting to gift you some things at this full moon because they're trying to rid themselves or let go and release some resources to you. And you'll have an opportunity to be able to do things differently if you feel like you haven't handled the resources the way you wanted to in the past. So keep that in mind as well. And of course, I want to know what's happening for you. I hope that this video has helped. And it's just a little taster. There's always so many little details and personal things that are individual to all of us. So please feel free to reach out to me, jamiedon.com. And I look forward to hearing about what's going on for you. Like, comment, share, subscribe to these videos. And thanks so much, Aquarians. Happy birthday. Have a great month.